Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Sportcat Daily Gazette. I apologize, I'm a few minutes late. I was over on the other set. For those of you at Radio X, you all caught it, arguing with my good friend Ross. Yes, there's big fires. There's all kinds of things going on. So, Wendell, welcome. If I'm late again, just go over to Ross's channel. You'll hear me over there arguing with him. We were talking about the Epstein files and how the people should be held accountable. And he says he's more of a realist and that it should never happen. But even if it doesn't happen, these people need to be brought to the front. And personally, I think there's a coup in the FBI, and we're probably at the beginning of a civil war because they're withholding the evidence. So, but we'll talk about that some today. Maybe. I don't know. We'll get to it. There we go. Hey, is that better? I got to figure out the best spot for me because I want the screen to be as large as possible because you guys can see more than I can on the screen. Well, that definitely isn't what I wanted. Yeah. Let's just go with this for the moment. All right. So as you can see, FEMA has failed me again. We're back looking at Wednesday. I wonder if, and I'm not trying to be funny, I'm trying to actually be serious about this. I wonder if perhaps maybe there's been some Doge activity at FEMA and they've let people go because they used to be very good about keeping this information up to date, but they're just horrible at it now. Enough with that. We'll go to the next screen. Well, maybe if my computer, for some reason, I noticed it on Ross's too. We should try and find a pattern to this. There's got to be some reason we're always lagging because I still have internet and it's still working great. So what the heck? All right, well, we'll continue on here. National Weather Service daily briefing. And if anybody in the chat can hear me, let me know I'm still getting out. It would. I feel like I'm lagging and I've lost control of the show and I don't know why. And it's annoying, very annoying. Wendell says it's because they aren't doing anything. Well, you're probably correct, Wendell, if you're talking about why they're maybe that's better. No, that's not better. I don't like that. It's probably because they just don't want us to know anything, to be perfectly honest. But who am I? What do I know? Okay, we'll get with the National Weather Service, our forecast map. We're going to get into this a little bit more, but it's pretty much dry across most of the country, except for up there in the top by Canada in the northeast of Vermont, New Hampshire, and will extend up into Maine later today. And as Wendell was pointing out, yeah, I know I'm breaking up, and I don't know why. As Wendell was pointing out, there are some large fires out there, which we'll talk about in a bit. Speaking of large fires, if you notice the area in pink here on the map, that is high fire danger today. That is bad area to have fires starting in today. So if you notice that extends from, what is that, pretty much the top of Arkansas, all the way up Kansas City into Iowa. So that whole area up there is really in a danger zone. So it's because of the drought conditions, the dry weather. Hey, Chris, welcome to the show. Sorry I was running a few minutes late. But yeah, the red flag warning is pretty much from the top of Arkansas, all the way up into almost Minneapolis, to be honest. And there's some areas that extend way over into what is that? My geography's killing me. Over into the Midwest. You'll see there's very little rain today. The only snow you'll see around the Great Lakes and up in Vermont, where my son lives, they're going to get another couple inches of snow. Isn't that joyful? So, yeah. I'm not a fan of the snow. My son is in Chicago, so he's just dry. And what do they got up there? A wind advisory. Yeah, shocker. You got in the Windy City. All right. So we see here that where the blue dots are earthquakes. There's nothing currently really in the south that's new. I saw there was one that occurred. Oh, where the heck was that? I thought it was in Tennessee. Is this? Yeah, this is in Memphis. Well, west of Memphis, northeast of Memphis. Sorry, 1.9. So it was a small one. I don't believe there's been any major earth-shattering ones in the past 24 hours, but I did see that they had the one in Tennessee, and of course, down around the lower part of Texas, there towards the border in all of California, we see they always have some kind of earth-shaking events. All right, so that is our radar for the U.S. With forecast is going to be pretty much dry and windy in the upper regions with fire weather watches extending, and be really cautious. There's actually some fire weather watches that have just been issued. This when we came live weren't here. Chris says his potential client wouldn't stop talking. Well, hopefully they made you some money, Chris. Hey, and if you're selling stuff, I need a sponsor. So there you go. As far as anything above the 48, nothing really. The earthquakes and the volcanoes, as we found out. Let's see, down here around Australia, I'll pull up your radar a little bit better here in a second. It looks like the two storms that we talked about yesterday, Alfred and which is this one, Seru, are kind of staying off to your northeast, and gonna probably not have much impact on you in Australia. As far as it looks like you're pretty dry today, Australia. Actually, maybe in South Australia, you're going to get along the coastline some rain, and maybe up above Perth, you'll get some rain as well. I'm learning my geography, so bear with me. But it looks like your current weather conditions, you're fairly dry there. Let's see. I had another one. I'll pull that up in a bit. The reason the red flag, Wendell said, look at Alaska. Yeah, Alaska has a lot of earth-shaking things going on. Did you want me to pull it back up, Wendell? Is that what you were saying? Which I can do. Not that big of a deal. We're looking at the drought map here, and as you can see, it pretty much follows where the red flag warnings were. You know, in pretty much in the center of the country, and then right down along the southern border is where it is. Yeah, there's some severe droughts in the south and the northwest. Wendell wanted me to look at Alaska, so let's look at Alaska. And anyone, by the way, that's listening on Yerg's Radio at yergsradio.com, our Rainbow Radio and Radio X, please feel free to jump over to the YouTube channel, Para Our Normal Guys, 3 words with a Z, and you can join the chat with Chris and Wendell, and I don't know who else is in here today, but I know those two are. Wendell, what were you looking for specifically? There has been a lot of earth-shaking events. There's a small craft gale warning along the, what would that be? That would be their southern coast, I guess, which extends actually a brisk wind advisory. I've never seen that on the west coast of Alaska. And that extends and wraps around all the way to the top on the north, pretty much in the center of the the state. There is a lot of earthquake activity. It's hard to say without going to a specific earthquake map what is the newest, but they've had some pretty decent shaking ones. I never really realized that there was that much of a danger up there. Okay, show me that. Why are you not showing me that? Not felt. Okay, so they're saying that none of them were felt. Okay, well, apparently there was one that was barely felt at 3.6. Oh, I would feel that one. No tsunami was issued. Well, there's a shocker. But yeah, you're right, Wendell. It does. It looks like it's going right up the middle there. I would almost and I will do that. Well, we can do this now. I was going to say we could go to, if it'll cooperate with me, we could go to the map and see what the terrain is up there, because I'm going to bet you that the terrain up there is pretty much like California. It's going to be mountainous. What do you know? All right, there we go. So we can see there. I don't know the names of the mountain range, but yeah, it looks like where the earthquakes are really around the mountainous range. If you notice, they're patterned. So the Earth is still forming up in Alaska. It's a state that I have not got off my bucket list. I'm getting old though, so I better hurry and do it. I wanted to do a what are they? They do the cruises where you can see the whales. Is that what it is? I can't remember, but I've always wanted to do a cruise up there. But Mrs. Sportcat is hesitant to do cruises. So, but yeah, Wendell, that's what we got for up there. And there are some fires up there too, I believe. We'll get on to that in a minute. It's funny they don't mention them in a drought monitor really that much. I mean, you get a little blip over here on the right. And they're barely covered in a drought. It's funny. I see this. We're giving weather information about the Marshall Islands, but yet as I was coming on, I saw falling apart. Yeah. I saw a report out of Arkansas that they were arresting illegal immigrants from the Marshall Islands. And for some reason I was thinking, I haven't had a chance to check into this, but I thought they were part of our, whatever you call it, I don't even know the correct words. They're our allies. We own them. That's a wrong word, but you know, I know that sounded wrong. That we control their government. I don't know. I thought that they were a Providence or something to us. I'm going to get in trouble, so I'll just shut up. I pulled up an Australian radar map here on Wonder Map just to compare it to the other one, and the only thing really that I got that was different was the fires. There are some fires in South Wales, Queensland along the coastland, in the Northern Territory. There's a few fires as far as Western Australia. I do not know their intensity, but I do know they are there, and it doesn't look like you're going to get much relief. That rain in South Australia doesn't look to be very strong forming. But it does look like you might in Queensland if that storm does make the turn, which it looks like they're predicting, and will come back to you. So, all right. So I'm trying to get some information in for our Radio X fan. All right. Chris's favorite map, the wind map, which if you notice and you zoom in where the fire warnings are, look at that. That's where some of the strongest winds are. And they're going to be up and churning over the Great Lakes and coming back down. So that's going to really increase the conditions for fire. Unfortunately, the winds aren't down far enough to the south to tap into the Gulf of America moisture. So, which is unfortunate because it looks like we could use some more rain, even though I hate the rain. But we zoom out and see. Pretty much everything is offshore the United States on both coasts. Even down in the Gulf of America, there's not a whole lot of air movement. We'll go down under and see what's going on there. Where are we going now? Got to learn my geography here. So here we go. We see the storm again rotating clockwise off of the east coast of Australia, which is keeping a lot of the moisture really offshore. And we see that looks like there's two troughs forming to the south, which is pulling the air away from Australia, and to the west, which is pulling the air away from Australia, which is not really good conditions for those fires. The only good news I can see is most of the areas where they were showing there was fires, there's not a lot of wind. So that will be good for the firefighters. I really don't have much news for Australian firefighters. So, well, my doorbell's ringing. Oh, it's UPS. My daughter will get it. Sorry, I do broadcast from home. So there you go. We can zoom out and see the bigger picture there. And how it looks like there's really not much affecting besides for maybe that storm off of Australia. Over in Asia, it looks like the winds are going to be coming down from the south towards the east, and it'll be affecting them there. And, well, the rest of the world, you can kind of see how it is. But the largest bodies of waters are the ones where the winds are focused on right, or focused mainly. Typically, that's the way it is because of the temperature inversions. How about that? I knew something, Chris. So, and with the weather getting warmer, I'm sure that we will probably see. I heard on a previous show that the Farmer's Almanac is saying that it's going to be a worse summer for hurricanes. I hope that's not the case, but we will be prepared as always. Hey, Denise, welcome to the show. I'm glad you're here. Everybody, please remember to hit that thumbs up button, like, share, follow, and subscribe. I know all of my regulars are in here, and I encourage everybody from Radio X because, unfortunately, I believe at 1400, 2 o'clock Eastern time, we were going to be signed off by Radio X. So, hey, Chris, I'm trying, man. I'm trying. So it's all you get, you know. I'm just a guy with a GED. All right, so here's the highest winds in the continental United States. Let me update this and see if it will, because I pulled it up earlier. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Looks like the highest ones are coming down and across down from the north, and it was just like we predicted over the center, and the highest winds are pulling up over Chicago with a maximum sustained wind of 30 miles an hour. So yeah, it looks like Chicago is going to keep its name as the Windy City. Denver's always a little windy because of the mountains, but it looks like they're a little more windy than normal. And like I said, that the Gulf of America, it's not tapping the moisture, it's just pulling the dry air out of Dallas. So all right, so there you go. There's that for now. And with that, we get into the air quality. Well, look at that. Where the country is the windiest, the air quality is better. How about that? Actually, aside for pollen today here in Atlanta, not too bad. So not too bad, not too shabby. Denise, I don't know where you are, but hopefully your air quality is good. Wendell, you're, depending on where you're at, you might have some moderate to severe. No severe in Alabama. That's over in Oklahoma City. All right, and then it gets kind of moderate along the Oregon, California coast up there in the Cascades. So, all right, with the airflow, we get the smoke plumes. Zoom out. You know what? I'm going to pull that map up, the wind up again, because I want to look at something with the smoke plume and see. That looks like that's kind of contra from what what it was showing on the wind map. Let's pull that up and look. All right. So let's just pull this map down here. All right. So got that right there. Where am I at? We're at airflow. All right. So if you look, the smoke is being dispersed down into the Gulf of America. Apparently this map has not been updated. And most of the smoke from the fires in Alabama and Georgia is sitting pretty stagnant. And I mean, I guess that's following what the wind map is showing. I wanted to compare the two. Yeah, I guess that is pushing it down into Mexico, where we see the smoke plumes being pushed down. I guess that it ends right here because they either don't track it or it's dispersed to the parts per million enough that they don't count it in the Pacific. But in the Gulf of America, towards the Texas-Mexico side is where the smoke is predominantly. Florida, it's crossing over Ross, it's crossing over you in Tampa, north of you, south of you, and extending out over Orlando in Cocoa Beach. Here in Atlanta, the smoke is originating from mountains that we have probably prescribed burn. Let's see. No, Chestnut Mountain. It's a 345-acre fire. Causation. Well, the causation is ban. All right, how about that? That's crazy. All right. Let's see. You are in Long Island. Well, your air quality, and it looks like up there by you, you don't have any fires. So good, good. But Wendell, you got quite a few fires, but you don't have any smoke today. So that's good. All right. Before we get to the top of the hour, I'm going to hop over because I'm only an hour in Australia. I want to hit some news events over there before we do a lot of the other stuff here. So we'll hop over there in just a minute. Small chance, less than 2% of any precipitation. Well, this is talking about tornadoes, but really any precipitation across the country. No thunderstorm activity, which is good. Most of the advisories are fire and wind, as we discussed earlier. And if you want to check this out, this is Weather WX Warn on Affirm Tech. This is a great site. Just remember, turn your notifications off or you're going to get dinged to death because it goes a little nuts. But yes, most of the warnings are for wind. And what you're looking at there is the flood warnings from the water running from the north coming down south. Because we're really not having any precipitation today. You can see Georgia, most of Georgia is in a severe fire watch today. Interesting. All right. The event map. We're going to talk about measles a little bit more, but I believe 9 states, with the most recent one being in the West. I think it is Washington, having another measles case with hospitalization. The child they have still not identified was apparently a infant in Texas that died. They didn't get to the hospital in time, but we discussed that yesterday. It could be because of religious beliefs, so they're probably not going to get a lot of news on it. So, unfortunately, let's see here. That's old. Texas. We're still talking about the measles outbreak. So yeah, that's it's gonna say it's crossed its border. It's crossed its border into California and I believe Washington. I believe the one from California they have brought into they have investigated and found that it was brought into the country by someone coming through LAX. So let's see, up in New York City, 18 injured after a New York City subway track fire. Station fills with smoke. Oh, I hadn't heard about that one. That must be, how recent is that? 220? No. Event date, 226. I hadn't heard about that. Okay, interesting. Either that or I missed it. Up in New Hampshire, 20 geese found dead. That occurred yesterday. Likely of bird flu. I hate to hear that. Here in Ohio, that's old. That's weather related from wind and hail damage. Same thing in lower Ohio. Chris, up in Illinois, you're pretty good. Up at the top of the country there, it's from the weather, the storms. In Wyoming, drought. We discussed that earlier. And storm from 2 days ago. All right, let's see here. Let's see if I have anything for this down under. That's new. We talked about yesterday. We talked about Alfred 25 is going to have a little bit of impact on Queensland. Yeah, it looks like out in the Coral Sea. I'm going to be used to saying these things. Firefighters battled a blaze. That's a couple days old. That was in Wales. In Victoria, biological 2 measles cases. That was from yesterday. So Australia. See, that's what I was saying. We're a big, wide world and we travel. We go places. So there's now a case in Australia, 2 cases in Australia. So, all right, well, let's hope they keep it that way. Looks down in New Zealand. I'm not sure if we have many fans from New Zealand, but it's funny. I was looking on my, they did have an earthquake measuring 4.0 in New Zealand. I looked on my Spotify stats and I was just surprised to see that I do have quite a few international listeners, and I really wish that they would hop over here and join the chat so we can give them information. It's always fun to learn about what's going on in different parts of the world. A winter weather storm up in Greenland, that'll be what, our 53rd state? I don't know. Who knows? We're just going to take all of it, I guess. We're Samaritans. That's what we do. That's why we get a bad rap all the time. I looked, and finally the CDC has some updated information here. They're saying that this is updated anywhere between Wednesday and today. Acute respiratory diseases causing illness was updated, and the level of it has been updated. And so we see here that there's a slight to moderate increase in Illinois. Alabama is actually dropping, and we're pretty much staying in the moderate level. When you talk about respiratory illnesses, mainly they're talking about the SARS, the C1. Of course, you can't, take colds and flus out of there as well. California is actually doing pretty good. Nevada's doing pretty good. Up further north of them, Oregon and Washington, it's kind of moderate. Texas down there where Brenda is, it's staying kind of moderate. The only real good places is Alabama, North Dakota, and Nevada and California and New Mexico. Of course, we know the measles outbreak in there. And once again, information that we found out after the C virus came out, that they measure what's going on in our poo. I still just gets me. COVID-19, they're showing in Georgia that it is high right now, and it's moderate in Alabama. Up in New York and New Jersey, it looks to all be high. That Maryland area up there. Well, I'm sorry, New York is actually low. I didn't zoom in far enough. Let's see what I can pull up for influenza. It's getting higher in the state of Georgia. Indiana is staying about the same. It's moderate over in Illinois and New York City. It is very high right now. It's sad that I have to speak that way. Well, yeah. I didn't get spanked for yesterday, which I was really surprised about. So I was really surprised. But yeah. So yeah, there is our viral activity. Viral activity is different than the flu. It's usually it can be anything from an upper respiratory to a GI thing. So this is RSV. RSV are respiratory viruses that they're tracking. Georgia is moderate. Indiana and Illinois, it's low. And New Jersey, it's very low. New York, it's moderate. And Alabama, Wendell, you were winning the game today. You were reporting kind of low in it as well. Emergency department visits. I heard on another website or YouTube channel that they were saying that people were being turned away from hospitals by ambulances. Well, that's not true. They were diverted. And the reason you get diverted on an ambulance when you're going to an ER is several reasons. One, they have no beds. Two, they have no staff. Or three, you're bringing them a patient that they don't have the level of treatment they need. So that other channel was bashing the hospital system, saying that they shouldn't be diverting patients away. They absolutely should be diverting patients away. If their patient is coming in, it's a potential stroke and their CT equipment is broke, 100% should be diverting them away. Even if they have nobody in the ER, they should be diverting them away for the best patient care. So he was spreading a little bit of fake news there, which kind of ticked me off. I almost got in his chat and told him he needed to shut up, but I didn't. So I was kind of really shocked today. He actually put out a lot of fake news. He kind of surprised me, but I won't. You all can go listen and see if you want who he is. All right. The C virus, it's growing in Alaska, growing in Texas. It's likely growing in Tennessee, and it's not changing. Ken, if you're listening, it's not changing up where you are. And where are you, Janice? It's not changing where you are, and there's no changes where we are. So that's a good sign. If you can hear that music in the background, that's an electronic picture frame, and that is my granddaughter dancing. And I was turning it off for the longest time, but then I got to thinking, I enjoy it. So if it comes on and that's what you hear, that's what you hear. All right. So, all right, Alabama is growing in influenza. Wendell, stop spreading the flu. Do not bring it over here because they're not changing here. Chris, it's doing pretty good where you're at. It's actually declining. And Denise, up in Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York, it looks like it is declining. Very good. So the flu vaccine does help, but that does not mean you won't get it. All right, so that's pretty much all we have for the wastewater. Reported measles. We were going to talk about this. Washington is the new one, I believe. Yes, there's a case in Washington, in California. The one in I'm sorry, 3 in California. The one that started in California, they came through LAX from out of the country. New Mexico and Texas. Texas has 146. There's a lot of people out there reporting that it's greater than 200. That could be because we don't know what is going on in that community, but I'm going to stick with what's actually coming out from the state health department. And this is the numbers they're providing. So 146 with the 1 death. There's now 6 in Georgia. Kentucky is still doing good with 1. New Jersey and New York. New York has 2 and Jersey has 3 with 1 in Alaska. And we saw that there was also 1 down in Australia. So, yeah, measles is on the rise, with the highest, they say, of 146 in Texas. I did not Google yesterday to see what the legal or CDC definition or World Health Organization definition for pandemic or epidemic. I don't think we're anywhere near there. I think because we're world that moves around, we're going to spread things. Because we were a country that had open borders, we're going to spread things. And then once they get started in a small community like reported, it's going to spread. Denise, you're right. The flu shot at the beginning of the year is an educated guess. And then you'll notice in the middle of flu season, they come out and say, oh, you need to update your flu because now they know what's going around. So it's kind of a educated guess, but you may still get the flu, but hopefully it did lessen the signs and symptoms for you. So hopefully that helped. All right, we're going to skip this for just a few minutes. I want to jump over to my other news. Let's see here if I could find it. I think it's on this screen. Yeah. I saw that this was trending. Although I do not understand it, my Australian friends, I'm going to educate myself. Apparently, the international championship for cricket was yesterday, I believe, your time. And unfortunately, Australia lost to Afghanistan. And now Afghanistan is waiting to see a game between England and South Africa to see if they can take second. I actually watched a little bit of cricket to see if I could figure it out. And I'm going to have to look up the rules. It's an interesting sport. I had not really looked at it. But unfortunately, Australia, you lost 109 to 273. So I apologize for that, but you are out of the international championship trophy. Let's see. Let's jump over into this because I know that this is bigger news. That's more American stuff. Let's get into the where was Gene Hackman. All right. So yesterday, like I said, I like to be accountable. Oh, go away, Reza Doolabber, whatever the hell your name is on Twitch. You're just a scammer. Yesterday we reported that Gene Hackman, his wife, and his dog were found dead, and we reported that it was likely carbon monoxide. Now, I'm not going to back away from my comments that you do need to have a working smoke detector and carbon monoxide detector in your house. I'm not going to back away from those comments, but apparently we are finding out more now. Gene Hackman, his death is now being ruled suspicious. And one of the things I found, I went on X and did a little research, and you see a lot of the stars on there talking about how great they were, or Gene was, the things he did in his roles. But Randy Quaid is always one of those that's kind of out there a little bit. And if you looked at any of his personal history, he's really out there a little bit. But he did make a comment that this was before they said anything, that it was suspicious. Randy Quaid said, "You're meaning to tell me you found the man who's making the most royalties in Hollywood dead with his wife and a dog, and no one is even going to question it? We're just going to say it's carbon monoxide?" I found it very interesting, his point of view immediately. His wife committed suicide, then he died of carbon monoxide. I don't know. We do know that Jean and Betsy were both found. Betsy, her hands had mummified, according to the reports we have. She was in a separate room. He was in what they describe as a mud room, and she was in a bathroom. The dog was in a cage in the closet. Funny, he passed right before the Grammys. I even saw, I don't know that he had anything to do, but somebody said it's funny he died right before the drop of the Epstein files. I have no idea what that means. I don't know if he was on a list or not. I don't know if anybody knows he was on a list right now. Santa Fe had a press conference, and they say now there's a little bit of mystery about it. His wife was found partially mummified in an open bathroom near a space heater. Now, that could just be where she fell. They said there was an open bottle of prescription pills, and they were scattered on a nearby countertop, and that if we look at her hands, they were partially mummified, and her body had begun to decompensate, which means they had been there for, they're guesstimating around 2 weeks. Mummifications is the intentional or accidental preservation of a body after death in a forensic context. Basically, mummification occurs when a dead body dries out instead of decomposing. Decompose as normally due to a warm, dry, and well-ventilated environment, which apparently in Santa Fe is the case. So his dog was found dead. One of the German shepherds was found dead less than 15 feet in a closet. And apparently he was, well, it doesn't say here, but he was in a cage. Apparently he had several animals, and there was 2 roaming free on the property. So they were found dead. The cause of death, what we thought initially was carbon monoxide, is now suspicious. I'm with you, Denise. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Talks about his movies here. How did he die? They've yet to determine. They're doing an autopsy and going to determine all of that, which will tell us toxicology, cause of death. According to the Santa Fe fire chief, he even called in the gas and utility companies. Everything they could find, there was no signs of a gas leak or carbon monoxide poisoning. So they're now ruling that out until they get toxicology. They will obviously check and see if they can get any blood, what the CO levels were in their blood. They got a search warrant. And if you read the search warrant, which I'll pull up here in a minute, it's, well, according to the police officer that was initially on scene, several things were found, including the front door open and unlocked. One healthy dog was running loose. Another healthy dog was found near the dead dog. So there was 2 healthy dogs and 1 dead dog. The 911 call has been released. I can share that with you now. I downloaded that. Let's see here. Go to downloads. Here we go. Hackman 911 call. And this shouldn't be triggering to anybody. So, but if you are, you might want to turn it down for about 3 minutes.
Santa Fe 911, what is your emergency?
Hello, my name is the caretaker for Santa Fe Summit. I'm here about past 10,000 ways. I think we just found one deceased person inside a house. What's the address here? There's no address. There's no address. I'm going to wait for you at the gate. I'm going to wait for you to please send somebody really quick.
Okay, what's going to be the address?
It's going to be down at the gatehouse. I'll meet you over there. I'll meet them over there. I'm the caretaker for the subdivision. I'm going to bring them up here.
Okay, give me 1 second. Let me speak with the paramedics.
Thank you.
Give me 1 second.
Damn.
Are you with the patient now?
Yeah, I'm over at their property. There's no address here. So I have to meet the ambulance or the police, whoever, down at the gatehouse. I'll bring them up here.
Okay. How old is the patient?
I have no idea.
You don't know? Okay, that's fine. Is the patient a male or a female?
A female and a male, probably. I don't know, sir. Just send somebody up here real quick.
Okay. Are they awake?
I have no idea.
Are they breathing?
I have no idea. I'm not inside the house. It's closed. It's locked. I can't go in. But I see them. She's laying down on the floor from the window.
Do they appear to be awake or alert?
No. It's not.
Okay. Are they moving at all?
No, dude. They're not moving. Just send somebody up here really quick.
Okay, my units are underway, okay?
I'm sorry?
My units are underway right now. And
okay, I'll meet them down at the gatehouse because they might not have the code.
you don't have like the actual address of the house of where this person lives?
I have no idea. There's no address. There's a reason why for that. If you can get me around, please.
Okay.
Okay, so a couple things there. Obviously, he was very distraught. It sounds like he went and saw the door was open, looked in and saw the feet of one of the two, and looked in the window and saw the body of the female, and said that it was likely a male and female, but he did not know. So it sounds as though he did not enter the home. And he was trying to tell the 911 call processor that there was a reason there was no address, because of who they were, but the call taker wasn't picking up on it. Call taker he was, are they awake or are they breathing? The dude's like, no, they're dead. I'm looking through a window at them. We do, when we take those calls, have a series of questions we have to ask legally, but you kind of got to listen to the person as you're typing, to get all of the information. And Chris said it was a shame that, like Elvis, we have another all-time great who will not be remembered for what they accomplished, but how they passed. 100% correct, Chris. 100% correct. But is it because we live in a society like that now? I don't know. That's just me asking a question. Okay, so here we see from the state of New Mexico. You said that you would rather have antlers taking your 911 call rather than this guy, but you're biased. Well, hopefully she's being trained correctly. So, but I mean, I don't fault the guy because you got a job to do and you're just pushing buttons sometimes. So this from the Santa Fe Magistrate Court to the state of New Mexico. They have already got the case number. You can see it there and you can go pull it up online. They were requesting a search warrant for a 2-story residence, and they described it as having olive green stucco, flagstone nearby, front end dress. Basically what they're getting at is there's no address here, where they're describing the house so that they're trying to be as precise as possible. The detective said that being duly sworn upon the oath as a peace officer under New Mexico state laws has reason believed, as described below, to get the search warrant, and it will assist law enforcement in determining the circumstances pertaining the death of Gene and Betsy. Items that they want to seize and collect: anything that's ignitable, flammable, or explosive, or combustive. And of course, they have to get technical: solid, liquid, gas, container, material. So they get really specific. Materials apparently used and are intended for administering aid or assistance to the injured. Now, I'm not sure if that means because the paramedics went in, maybe they shouldn't have attached a heart monitor to that. That should be fairly obvious signs of death. So I'm not sure what that's getting at. Any documents which have that appear to be personal identifying information of Gene or Betsy in any way, anything with personal identifying information. I heard that there were some documents that had been shredded that they were specifically looking at. Documentation herein described as to be seen by photography, videography, and any other means necessary. In other words, you're going to seize them. They're going to seize any cameras, video equipment, film, anything in the house, basically, to take a look at it. And they're going to use all methods to do it. Yeah, I'm sure. And they're actually, the department is doing a good job here because they're even talking about their own body cams. Then they're going to seize the clothing that they both have, which is obvious. Any photographs, they're going to take photographs, latent or visible prints, not limited to fingerprints, footwear impressions, etc. Once again, they go into materials used for administering aid or assistance. I really don't think the paramedics would have used anything in this case. A lot of times when we go in, if it's obvious, a paramedic, one of my instructors once taught me, I don't know that I agree with him, but if it's obvious, and by obvious, they're cold, stiff, rigor mortis, colors change. In this case, they'd started mummification with body decomposition. You can see it's obvious. In other cases, it's not so obvious. You will sometimes attach a heart monitor to see if there's any electrical activity in the heart. My instructor once argued that that's not a reason for calling death because a silent heart can still be treated. So that depends upon your municipality and where you are at. I was always trained that it's great to check pulses, signs of life, but as a backup to use the tools that you have, which would be your heart monitor, but some areas do not allow that. So you have to use your own judgment. And having done this for 30 plus years, sometimes even now looking back, there's some that still haunt me thinking, did I make the right call? But you have to. Anyhow, they want any weapons that were in the house, including sharp objects, tools, items or materials that appear to be impressions, marks, or defects. Any recorded, this is getting to what Janice is talking about, media. They want passwords, personal identification number for their online stuff. They're going to collect biological fluids to include DNA, blood, or trace evidence. They're looking to seize their telephone and cellular telephone calls. I'm sure that it's not included in there, but I'm sure that includes text. The detective, he states that Wednesday, February 26th, they received a 911 call at 1343 local regarding a call for a person, RP, reporting person, 2 deceased individuals at the residence of. It's funny they black it out here, but up above they don't. The 2 officers were then dispatched to conduct an investigation. Indicated when he spoke to the reporting party, found the located front door of the entrance to be open or ajar. They identified the reporting party to be, which he said that he was a maintenance worker, called from the home company. The other maintenance worker was identified as Jesse. I don't know why we need to know that, but Deputy Thomas told the affidavit, after speaking to the 2 males, he and the deputy then walked to the front of the residence, found the door ajar. He advised they did not see any signs of forced entry into the house. They entered the residence. He immediately observed a bathroom to the left of the front door. The door was open, and they advised he found the deceased female laying on the ground near the countertop inside the bathroom. Observed she was on her right side. She was wearing dark gray sweatpants and a light-colored sweatshirt. Then it goes on to talk about there was a space heater by her head. How did I get by myself? What do you mean? How did you get by yourself? Wendell? They said she had obvious signs of death, including mummification and bloating, and that they talk about the pills that were. This is from the affidavit, which you can find online. It's public information. I'm not giving anything that's not public. They then saw the dog deceased. It was 10 to 15 from the deceased, 10 to 15 feet from the defeat. Man, I can't talk today. It's Friday, isn't it? 10 to 15 feet from the deceased female in a closet of the bathroom. Whew. I'm sure you're not alone, Wendell. Nobody's left you. You're still here. They're just not talkative. They then proceeded to clear other portions of the residence. Clearing mean they're making sure no one else is in them. And there they observed a pair of feet, legs on the ground near the kitchen area, a male to be deceased in what is believed to be a mudroom. He was found laying It was found wearing gray sweatpants, blue color long sleeve t-shirt, brown slippers, and a walking cane. Observed a pair of sunglasses located in the descendant's left side of the body. Suspected that he had suddenly fallen. The male deceased was showing signs of death similar to the consistency of the female above. There were 2 dogs located. One was healthy, that was near the deceased female inside the bathroom, and the other one was observed outside the residence. They checked all the area, and apparently there was no signs of forced entry. Nothing looked astray or ajar. That's when they called in the investigators. And the investigator came down, took the officer's statements, looked around, and then determined that he needed a search warrant. They spoke to the Santa Fe Fire Department, and they conducted testing to determine if there were signs of possible carbon monoxide. They did not locate any signs of carbon monoxide leak or poisoning, which is key there. At the time, there was nothing in the air. Where is Shay? She could tell us. Yeah. It's funny you say that. I was talking to somebody else, and they said they were going to remote view it. They called in the the New Mexico Gas Company, and they conducted testing and found that there was nothing astray. There was no signs of anything indicating there was a problem. And then they called in another test of the land to see if there was anything else, and they couldn't find anything. They identified it on GPS mapping. Basically, they got the coordinates, and they could not find anything further. He's aware through his training experience that the individuals exposed to gas or poisonous death could suffer immediate or unexpected death, but through their training experience, it did not show that. So now that's where we'll come up to the blood work. So there are no indications of blunt force trauma. However, they're seeking to seize any blunt force objects in the event that there was. Due to the death pertaining Gene Hackman and his wife, they believe the circumstances surrounding the death of the 2 deceased individuals to be suspicious enough in nature to require a thorough search and investigation, because the reporting party found the front door of the residence unsecure and open. And they observed a healthy dog running loose on the property and another healthy dog in the property, with the one that was dead in the kennel. So they found the heater, and then they found the pill bottles open and scattered next to the female. He was in a total separate room. There were no obvious signs of a gas leak. And he goes on to give his name and title, and that was signed by a judge. Usually what will happen, if we show up first, when I say we, firefighters, we will secure the scene and wait for PD. We will obviously, as paramedics, I will go in and say, okay, we've got to back out carefully in case this is a crime scene, and we will secure it. Police will come. They will come in and look. They'll ask us, what do you think? And that's when they probably called in the hazmat team, and they did the searching and determined that there was nothing. To be sure, they called the gas company, and then on top of that, they called another company. I guess there's probably more than one company that services the area for utilities to see if there's anything there, and they found nothing. The scene was turned over to police. The 2 investigating officers, one of them will typically stay on scene until the detective gets there. Once the detective gets there, the detective will make the determination, natural causes, let it go. R, is this suspicious? In this case, since there was no one there to consent, the officer did the correct thing, went and got a search warrant so they could get all of the information they need, and that there's no question, since this will be a high profile case, about them just going in and seizing stuff. So yeah. Chris says the mummification time frame, and then there's still being dogs alive, is what I find so strange. Well, there's something that they're finding strange, that they're seizing so many things. I mean, but I think then again, this is a high profile case. Santa Fe probably doesn't have many high profile people, so they want to make sure they get this right, which I'm glad. So Gene Hackman, he was a star. He had pretty much been out of the limelight for about 20 years. He'd had some angioplasty for angina, which basically means they probably put a cardiac stent in, which as you get older with our lifestyle, especially in the South, that's pretty normal. So he was hit by a pickup truck while riding on a bike. I did not know that in 2012, but it was just bumps and bruises. I did not know that. So good reporting from USA Today. So yeah, I think there's enough information there that they should investigate it. Yeah, I think they should. That's because if they don't investigate it, it's going to turn into one of these things where it's a conspiracy. So it's better just to get everything out and be transparent. So, all right. So, so yesterday, I don't have a clue what the DOJ or the White House was doing. They released this, but they released this. If you notice, they're all carrying MAGA hats. Exactly, Chris. You're 100% correct. Insurance companies want to know if any crimes were committed so they can get out of paying. Oh, you are 100% correct about that. They've released these 200-page binders to not the media, but influencers. And they had said they were going to drop them publicly to everyone. So they didn't hit immediately all at once, which I found really weird. I know that the new administration is trying to embrace us. When I say us, I mean podcasters, the new wave of reporters, but that just seems so odd to me. And then they made a big photo media spectacle of it. In fact, my friend, who's one of the photographers there in the White House, they were told to take pictures of them as they were exiting, holding up their binders. I don't get it. So they released these documents from Jeffrey Epstein, but then they kind of backed this story up a little bit because they got something. They had a whistleblower who apparently called the AG, Attorney General, and said, hey, you don't have everything. They're sitting on stuff in New York City, which prompted the AG to have enough questions to where she sent a letter directly to Director Patel. And she goes the same. Before she came into the office, she requested full and complete files related to Jeffrey Epstein. In response to this, I received a 200-page document, which consisted primarily of flight logs, contacts, and victims' names and phone numbers. She apparently repeatedly questioned, well, she didn't apparently, she did repeatedly question whether this was the full set of documents responsive to her request. And she was assured by the FBI that they had received the full set of documents. Yesterday, I learned from a source that the field office in New York was in possession of thousands of pages of documents related to the investigation and indictment of Epstein. Despite her request, the FBI never disclosed the existence of these files. When you and I spoke, you were just as surprised as I to learn this new information. Now, this was her demand. I have not seen anything yet. By 8 a.m. tomorrow, which is today, 28 February, the delivery will be from the FBI, full and complete, all the files, and she goes on to do the legal thing like we just saw in the warrant, records, documents, audio, video, any material related to the clients, regardless of how such information was obtained. In other words, she's even looking for stuff that possibly could have been obtained in a questionable manner, but nonetheless is in the FBI's possession. And they want an immediate investigation as to why my order to the FBI was not followed. And she wants a comprehensive report of the findings proposed within the next 14 days, wants prompt and immediate attention to this matter. They're working for transparency for us, the American people. They look forward to continuing to work with and serve our president and our country, as Pam Bondi, Attorney General. Now, political or not, thinking what you like or not, these people need to be held accountable, no matter whom they are. if I get on a list for saying it was the Clintons and the Obamas and the Bushes and the Bidens, even the Trumps, then so be it. Queens and kings, they need to be called out. There were women, children, both sexes, that were treated as possessions and materials and transported and shipped all over the country against their will, kidnapped, drugged, and abused. And if elite people, no matter what their status, if we can't hold them in public court guilty, we at least need to know who they are so the public can decide. Us, the American citizens, can decide. This issue is going to deeply divide our country, I fear. And with the FBI in New York holding out the information, well, those are people that have guns who just went against the president. It's a bad thing. Very bad thing. Absolutely. If anyone hurt children, you know, as a paramedic, I didn't want to see anyone injured. The children and elderly were always closer to us because of the types of crimes and violent crimes and sexual crimes that were done to them. And when I say elderly with sexual crimes, people get, oh, that don't happen. Looking to the nursing homes, people, it does happen. It does happen. People get hired who shouldn't be hired, and they do things to our elderly who are not capable of taking care of themselves. It's heinous crimes. They need to be held accountable too. Our glasses aren't as rose-colored as we'd like to think they are here in the U.S. So she requested the documents. It was a small batch. They walked back saying this was phase 1. So the document that they listed included images, massage tables, sex toys and other items, and a lot of blacked out, looked like a CIA agent. Wendell says, now I'm back in the right chat. Yeah, I'm a rebel rouser. You should have heard me on Ross's show. She had teased the documents release while being on Fox, which is another news network. I don't know that I feel that that was right, but she did it. She's the AG. She has that right. We need this information because the conspiracies and the things going on are never going to go away till we have as much information. We're as transparent as possible. And even then, there's still going to be people who go, oh, we didn't get all of it. Oh, what about Trump? His name was on it. What about Clinton? What about Biden? There's always going to be that person. So, but we need to get as much information as we can. A complete disappointment was what was called by a lot of people on social media, including myself, that we had to get a whistleblower tell us there's more. And then Patel had to respond on X that it was coming out. If there were any gaps, we will find them. There are records. We will uncover them, and we'll bring everything when we find the DOJ to be fully assessed and transparent. You know, I should have went and looked on the flight logs to see if there was any flights to New York from Washington, D.C., from high-ranking officials. Personally, I think the AG and the director, probably deputy director, since he's high profile, should have been at that field office as soon as possible. I really think they should have, because it's drawing a lot of attention that doesn't need to be drawn to. So, and once again, they're linking this to royals, presidents, and billionaires. We need to know. So, at any rate, you can find, this was an AP article, seemed to be the most fair. They went over the documentation they had, but it was basically like a CIA document. I looked at some of it, downloaded some of it. There was 200 pages of it, a lot of downloads. And yeah, there was names, you know, there were names that I saw that were familiar, athletes and actors. But just because their name's on a page doesn't mean that they did something. I mean, they could have just been in a phone call or had something that wasn't nefarious with them. So at any rate, so we're supposed to find out today. I have yet to hear anything. I'm sure that at 5 o'clock it'll drop. That's usually the time on Friday is 5 o'clock when they drop big news. Well, there's a lot of people who say that he did not die in jail because there was a lot of question around that, including I think it was the AP photographer that had images of the FDNY ambulance taking him into an ambulance on a stretcher, and he was awake. But I couldn't find that. So there was a lot of things going around, but apparently I'm going to end this on a little bit of a funnier note. The official X account from the House Judiciary GOP, Republican, ended up with a Rickroll joke. If you don't know what a Rickroll is, it means you're sent a link to Never Gonna Give You Up by what's his name? Rick Isley? Yes, Astley. Never Gonna Give You Up. That's called You Were Rickrolled. So if you click on something and you think, oh, this is going to be great, and it takes you to the video of Never Gonna Give You Up, you have just been rickrolled. So the GOP released a tweet that said that you can find all the information. When you click on it, it takes you to the video. Never Give You Up. That's funny. The DOJ, Never Gonna Give You Up, talking about the Epstein information. So they were sent out, did a little thing funny with the rickrolling, but because it's a GOP, they said it was a joke and they need to roll it back. So the post was now deleted. So because some people said it wasn't funny. I'm going to guess those people were on the other side of the party. What do I know? So, all right, let's see here. Yeah, we'll do this first. 7 planets align tonight, and this will be the last time until 2040, and they will be visible tonight. So go outside, no matter where you're at, and look and see if you can see Mars, Jupiter, Uranus, Venus, Neptune, Mercury, and Saturn, and they will all briefly be visible lined up. It's called a planetary parade, and it's a rare sight. And the last time will be the last time that the 7 planets can be simultaneously seen until 2040. The best chance will be just after sunset on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So we're in the last day of it. So go out and see it. I know when I was in Tennessee, and the light pollution wasn't so bad, you could kind of sort of see that they were starting to line up. I don't know which planets it was, but it was a pretty beautiful sight to see. As you see, looking on the horizon from the west to the east, which is left to right, as we read here in America, you see Mars, then Jupiter, Uranus, Venus, Neptune, and Saturn. Well, it should be on the horizon just after sunset. Go ahead and check it out. Take your kids out. Let them see it, because it's going to be a sight well, I don't know that I'll see it again. Maybe my grandkids will, hopefully, but go out and take them out. So hopefully the skies will be clear enough. I should pull up a satellite of I think we already covered this one. I should pull up a satellite of what it's going to be cloud cover wise. Remind me to do that before we get out of here. See, we're all in parts of a different country. I brought this up because well, you know, Wendell, it's funny. Since I started this show, I got to say booger. I just got to say Uranus. The other day on my pair our normal guys, I got in meow and balls. So I'm on a roll. All right. So according to the fire department, moviegoers in I'm not even going to try and pronounce this town. Winnetachie, I don't know. They were watching Captain America, which is, the most recent film out from Marvel. And one of the persons in the audience heard a popping and cracking. A gentleman stood up and take a peek and walked towards the screen, turned and said, "Run." His girlfriend who was with him didn't have time to react. She was found covered in debris in her seat. One row behind where the ceiling collapsed. The theater was built in 1919, lastly remodeled in the 70s. You believe the dropped ceiling catastrophically failed all at once. This is what the fire chief's saying. In a statement to the local media, Liberty Cinema said the team is working with authorities to ensure a thorough investigation of the cause of the collapse. The safety of the patrons and employees is the utmost importance. So, well, no, is that what I was listening to? No, I don't. Could you all hear that? That was weird. Okay. But yeah, two moviegoers were not harmed when the ceiling collapsed. Luckily, they said that if this had occurred during a Friday or Saturday night, it would have been much worse. So luckily, everybody was okay. So yeah, we have that. Other entertainment news. Did we not already know this? All my Swifties that follow me, did we not already know? Lindo, you said that to a Roger to a meet and greet? What? You said that to Roger at a meet and greet. I don't know. I'm going to leave that alone. Did we not already know this, though? Taylor Swift is probably the richest female musician. $1.6 billion. She finally surpassed Rihanna this week. Yes, Taylor Swift, who is currently dating Travis Kelce, holds the title for the richest female musician. She's 35. She's just had a tour, and with the profits, it was $2 billion. So 149 shows, and apparently it was all over the world. She at least works hard for it. She started out on a radio station in Knoxville, Tennessee, WIVK. A lot of people don't know that. But yeah, 1.6 billion is her reported wealth. And someone had told me, and I don't know if it's true or not, but she's a germaphobe. And wherever she goes and has a concert, instead of staying in a hotel, she buys a house and has it cleaned for her. So she must be a land baron as well. So she's been around the world. She's considered one of the leading music industry in the world. She's had 14 Grammys, Album of the Year. I mean, we could go on and on and on about her. So at her young age, people are asking, what's next? Well, she's writing a book. Wendell says, I'll have to tell you the story later. Okay, that means it's not for radio. Okay. She is working on a book, and she is also working on re-recording 2 albums. So, and then, of course, her boyfriend is going to return. That was public information. Well, not public information. He had a press conference and said he is going to return to play again for Kansas City, her boyfriend. So that was good news. So yeah, so she's the world's richest female. All right. Well, before we hop into scores, I found this interesting. If you follow the NFL, they're going to replace the chains with a virtual measurement. This is next year. The chain gang, which has been with the NFL for as long as anybody can remember, well, it's gone. They're going to be using new technology to measure down to the inch where the football was, rather than just using chains and a guesstimate. So we're addressing technology in the NFL. It's still going to be experimental and in the testing stage for this season, but the technology could overturn a call on the field regarding whether a ball carrier reached the line to gain first down, or in theory, if they had a touchdown. It's not the same as the chip technology, but in theory, it could help in calls that have, well, been detrimental to certain team seasons, going all the way back to the Falcons. So good news. We're finally addressing it. Quarterbacks bitching about they can tell a difference in the ball. What do you bet? I'm going to call that one now. They're going to bitch about that. So, all right. So yesterday, we're just going to do it real quick because I'm running kind of long and I got some stuff I want to go over. College basketball, we're still marching our way forward to March Madness. And yesterday, we did see the one over upset, which I think was it Michigan over Rutgers? Not really sure, but yesterday was more of a women's college game. Alabama won over LSU, UConn over Creighton, whatever. Grand Canyon, never heard of them, beat University of Texas Arlington, and Texas beat Mississippi State. The Predators beat the Jets, if you follow hockey. And that's pretty much all I'm going to do for sports, unless somebody has a request. And I did have someone message me yesterday that apparently Australian no rules football has begun, and information on the teams. So I'm looking that up. All right, for the last segment, we'll do the firefighter and police thing real quick, and then I'll let you all go. I think I'm going to try and keep the show to, I wanted to try and keep it to an hour, but I think 90 minutes is more appropriate. So we can get as much in, especially as the audience grows and I get feedback from you all about information that you want. And I would be happy to look into any of it. All right, so we start out with Glenn County, which is, I done forgot which state this was. I think it's New Hampshire, Brunswick. Somebody help me. Is this New Hampshire? A firefighter injured with 2 dogs that died in a house fire. Apparently, a neighbor reported seeing smoke come from the house, called the fire departments. They arrived 8 minutes later. It's funny they use that number because that's the national standards, and began a fast attack, which means they started on the outside, but 2 dogs were both inside and died from smoke inhalation despite the firefighters trying to resuscitate them. So, but one firefighter was injured during the process. So, and we have video. I thought this was kind of interesting. Can I make this full screen? Let's back this up here a little bit. So, as firefighters, they're going into a high school. They're going into a shop. You can see there's a wood shop. They're going to an investigation of smoke. There's firefighters on the outside checking things out. Nobody looks too concerned. Watch those guys over there on the right. They don't look too concerned. This guy on the inside, he's just kind of wandering around looking. And then all of a sudden, you're going to see, oh, what was that? And everybody goes running out. And now they have a fire. And they have several firefighters who were standing over there unprepared. You'll see. They're investigating the smoke, and they weren't really paying attention to what they were doing. I'm not trying to be detrimental to them, but the causation was dust, static, and heat. And they weren't all wearing the protective gear as they should have been. One firefighter that was most severely injured was the one there on the ladder. He was not wearing his face shield and an SCBA as he should have been. And so he was injured. He's going to be okay. Just good news. And it's funny that occurred at the Columbine High School in Littleton, Colorado. So another bad thing has occurred there. 2 firefighters are being evaluated in their medical needs. They were transported to a hospital, probably for burns and smoke inhalation to the face. And the other one probably for burns to the hands, because I'm going to guess he didn't have his gloves on. But at any rate, Colorado firefighters were injured at a flash fire at a high school. What caused this was it was a wood shop, and the wood shop uses a suction to get all the sawdust, and it's obviously an ducting system. Well, static electricity, heat, this is not an uncommon thing. And if there's the right elements there, you get what's called a flash explosion, which is what you witness there. So, no, that wasn't suspicious, Wendell. I don't know what caused where they were down there operating. It looked like that might have been where the electrical equipment for the suction unit was, so it could have overheated. But this I found really weird. Look at this dude here. Can I make this full screen? Look at this nut. Look at this. He is back up. Play. What's wrong with you? This nut tries to jump up into a fire truck and tackle a guy in the fire truck. Luckily, police were there. He was attacking the firefighters to get control of this nut job. And it looks like even they're having a problem with him. So, yeah, he jumped up into the fire truck to try and injure people. What the hell? What's up with people these days? How do I get out of the screen? Get me out of the screen. But yeah, he was in California. There we go. Shirtless man was taken into custody after allegedly, even though we can see it, attacking 3 firefighters inside their fire engine. It occurred at 6:44 p.m. on Knott Avenue in Buena Park. A paramedic fire engine was returning to the station when a man riding a bicycle stopped in front of the vehicle. He At that point, the man opened the door of the vehicle. He jumped inside and began attacking the firefighters. The suspect was somehow unable to lock himself inside the fire engine, but they were able to drag him to the ground and subdue him. They had to put a spit hood, which is just a shield, on him to keep him from spitting on the cops and the firemen. Yes. It's not the first time, Chris. It won't be the last time, but you're absolutely right. What the hell is wrong with people? They're nuts. Okay, this one comes here to us from Atlanta. Well, I would give that some merit, Wendell, but there's crazy people everywhere. Trust me. I worked Atlanta. There's crazy people everywhere. So this is a local story to me. Mother is dead. 6 are injured after a house broke out in Cobb County in Marietta. 1 woman is dead. 5 others have been injured, including firefighters. They found her inside a burning drive-in garage that had collapsed. So what had happened was the officials received the call that there was a fire at around 3 a.m. They arrived to find heavy fire shooting from the garage and the surrounding areas. They had a report of people inside. They began an extensive search. During the search, they found the body of a woman under a collapsed section of the drive-in garage. They say she may have been going back inside to save the animals. However, a little bit of update on the story. A neighbor said that he had been one of the ones to notify them of the fire, and she had ran into the garage trying to save her pets right before the collapse. And several of the firefighters, 2 of the firefighters, were transported because they were trying to get through the burning collapse to get to her. But unfortunately, she perished. 2 firefighters were injured, and it sounds as if the pets didn't make it either. So it's a sad story all around. Unfortunately, if your house catches on fire and you get out, as hard as this may sound, do not go back in. Do not go back in. Having a closed door in a room can save lives. Teach your kids to close their door at night. Close your bedroom door at night. And if you have a lock on your bedroom door, even better. That way, if we're searching the house and we come to a door and it's locked and we know it's a bedroom, somebody's on the other side of that. It's going to expedite us getting in. And that small little door, believe it or not, could save your life. So close your bedroom door at night, lock it. It's for the best. So these people need my support. Well, I'm poor. I can't afford anything. So, all right. So this comes to us from New Hampshire. Well, no, it took my story away after it wanted me to. 2-alarm fire in New Hampshire. 2 firefighters injured. Manchester firefighters contained a 2-alarm residential fire that caused extensive damage. Look, I can't help you. I don't have any money, people. Give me a break. So, well, they're not going to give us the whole story until I give them money, but 2 New Hampshire firefighters were injured. I'm sorry. We're poor. If you want to donate, if you want to buy me a Mountain Dew, go and look in the links in the comment. You'll find my PayPal, my Venmo, my Cash App. I'm not as jacked up on Mountain Dew today as I should be. So, all right. So we have 2 firefighters injured slightly. Well, I don't know what that slightly means. In the city of Olean, they were dispatched to a structure fire, found heavy smoke coming from multiple sides. They stretched 3 hose lines and located and extinguished the fire on the first floor and in the basement. There were no civilian injuries, but 2 firefighters were treated for minor injuries, and they were transported to the hospital. So hopefully they'll get well. The only major police incident I could see when I looked for injured police officer was a Philadelphia police officer is recovering after he was struck by hit-and-run driver. 6800 block of Havenford Avenue in West Philly. The 50-year-old officer was investigating a separate vehicle when the hit-and-run driver struck him and took off. The officer was taken to Roxborough Hospital and expected to be released later this week. No information. And if you have any information, please contact the Philadelphia Police Department. And I think that is all that I have for you today. I don't think I have anything further. Let me check and make sure I don't have any messages asking me to look at something, which I don't. And I don't have anything pertinent here from any of my law enforcement or fire department sources. So it looks like I've updated you in an hour and a half. I made it. So hopefully you guys are enjoying this. If you guys aren't enjoying this and you want to see me do something different, let me know. It's kind of an adjustment for me going to the new audience in Australia. I'm trying to adapt, and I want to make sure I get information for them as well. And we're learning something. So there you go. All right. So unless anybody has any requests or questions, I'm going to wrap up for today. Wish everybody a happy Friday and a happy weekend. And if you're a regular here, which I hope you are, please like, follow, share, and subscribe. We're having a special show Saturday night for the Misfits. Well, thank you, Wendell. I appreciate that. I think it's growing. Yesterday, the audience was as big as the day before, but I can't tell you what the variables were. We're going to give it a couple weeks, and if nobody likes it, then we'll try something different. But right now, I'm enjoying this. So it gets me to give information to people that may not normally get the information. So yes, everybody, please like and subscribe. Tomorrow is a big return show, as Chris is saying. Let me bring up his comments. Chris is one of our regulars. We appreciate him. Salty Dog was lit in the comments on the Pair Our Normal Guys show. It was a great show. It was a very great show. Saturday, Cheyenne Antlers will be back. She's not hosting the show, but she's pretty much in charge of telling me what to do. I have no idea what to expect. I think I'm going to bring liquor. I have no idea. I'm hoping Andy, he's been under the weather. Hopefully he'll return. I don't know if Brenda will. I heard she has been under the weather. I need to check on those two. So hopefully they'll return. But Saturday night, 9:00, the Misfits. It's always a good time. We laugh and joke and have a good time. The regulars, Chris, Denise, Wendell, Salty Dog, hopefully, and some others. We interact with the audience in the chat. And I need to actually work with Ross to see if I can get the phone line back up and working so we can have call-ins to the show. That would make it even better. All right, so I'm going to wrap up. If anybody wants me, they can find me, of course, here, or email me at sportcat@protonmail.com. You can find me on most social medias as Sportcat or Sportcat Medic. And like I said, if you want to buy me a Mountain Dew, I would much appreciate it. Mrs. Sportcat would probably appreciate it more than me. All of the links for my PayPal, my Cash App, and that will be in the comments. But yeah, I appreciate you all. Please hit that thumbs up notification button, because if something major happens, I'll just go live and we'll pull up scanners and radios and talk about what's going on. So, yeah, me and Ross did the plane crash, and I covered an officer injury in Tennessee once. So if anything major comes up, we try and cover it. So I don't really do a whole lot of breaking news, but who knows? We might be something I do in the near future. I don't know that I'll come on at like midnight and stay up all night with you guys, but I don't know. We'll see. Hey, Ken, I see you finally arrived. Ken, remember, Saturday night, Misfits, join in the chat. So, Chris, thank you. I appreciate you all, and I mean that. I appreciate all my fans and followers. Very great weekend for our regulars. I will see you Saturday. Long Island Bigfoot, thank you. I appreciate that, Long Island Bigfoot. Please share us with your friends and neighbors. We will see you soon. Everybody have a great weekend. I'll see you Saturday on the Misfits, unless there's some kind of chaos or mayhem. Alrighty, great news cycle. Who knows?